Hello all and welcome. And I am the MGTOW philosopher. In this video I would like to discuss the current tactics we employ against the left, against feminism, and why they're not working nearly as well as they could be, and why some could argue they're not really working very much at all, if at all. Now, let's talk about the left for a moment. The left are the people that we need to change. We don't need to change the people who already believe what is sensible, what is reasonable, what is logical. The people we need to change, that we need to convert to be able to think for themselves, to be able to think critically, to understand logic and reason and how to use these effectively, are the very people who are most resistant to hearing logic and reason. So how do we get through to them? Well, first you need to understand the nature of the left. You really need to understand the nature of your enemy before you can defeat him or her. So let's talk about that for a moment. Now, the left is a collectivist movement. They're very much like the Borg. They do not see the value in individuals. They only see the value in collectives, in groups. Therefore, when a single individual speaks to them, no matter how logical, no matter how reasonable your arguments, they won't hear you. Because for one thing, they don't see the value in a single individual's voice and ideas. To them, you're just one person. And what gives an idea a power in their mind is a lot of people believing it. Doesn't matter that it could be wrong. Lots of people believe it. That gives up validity. That makes it right. That's as far as their ability to use logic and reason goes. They don't take it a step further, get a little more esoteric, a little more abstract, and say, wait a second. Just because a lot of people believe something doesn't mean it's necessarily true. No, they've been indoctrinated into a groupthink mentality. So automatically, you're at a disadvantage. So why not approach them then with a group voice? Oh, well, we don't have that. We just had a lot of disparate individuals. Now, yes, you could say that, well, we are individuals. Of course, individualism is what I like. The ultimate minority is the individual, and that is what should be respected. But the left doesn't see it that way. And even though people are individuals, that doesn't mean they can't come together and fight. America was a nation of individuals, and yet we fought in World War I, World War II. People come together for good causes all the time. And that's one thing that, not the only thing, but it's one thing that has to happen for us to beat the left, the adherents of the Frankfurt School, the adherents of communism, the adherents of global communism that they think will bring utopia. These are the people we need to fight. And we can't fight them as disparate individuals. We're going to have to come together. You might say, oh, well, geez, no, we just have to spread good ideas and have to spread logic and reason. These people don't hear you. They don't recognize logic and reason, okay? They will be more likely to recognize your words, to look at them more critically and think about what you have to say if you approach them from a group dynamic instead of an individual one, because they have been indoctrinated to believe that collectives are more important than individuals. So naturally speaking, when you come from that point of view, you're going to pay more credence to a collective, a group in your mind, whether it's an actual real collective or just a group of individuals who happen to follow the same principles, is irrelevant to them. That you're a group, that gives your ideas, the things you have to say, more credence. Now, number two is logic and reason. Some people, even if approached with a group dynamic, will be very resistant to this because they have been indoctrinated, like with religion. There are safeguards built in so that you do not disbelieve, move away from the ideology. So you can't argue with leftists 100% totally on logical, reasonable grounds. Now, you will get more done in that way, and some people said you can't argue with them at all with logic and reason. No. You have to approach them from a group dynamic if you want to get any logical, reasonable points through. But it still has limited effectiveness, and with some people it will have none. So you need to argue more with the left from an emotional point of view, from a moral point of view. These people are subjectivists, you see. To them, everything is relative, reality is mutable, and everything is open to interpretation. So moral, ethical relativism to them is a way of life. And until it comes to their own ideology. When it comes to their ideology, it's firmly set. Nothing else is right. Everything else is wrong. They only apply this moral relativism, ethical relativism, this, everything's open to interpretation way of looking at things to everyone else's point of view. Their point of view is set in stone. That's it. What they say is correct. It's dogma. So they're right, you're wrong. That's it. So you cannot argue with such people as this with pure logic and reason. I do believe you will get more done with logic and reason if you stop approaching these people as a single individual. Again, they're like the Borg. They don't see the value of an individual. They look at you, you got nothing to offer, you're just an individual. What's the point of assimilating? What's the point of listening to what this person has to say? He has nothing of value to offer. They're just like the Borg in that sense. Groupthink, collective hive mind, does not see the value of an individual, so they're not going to pay credence to anything you have to say, okay? So you need to change your tactics. Every situation, context matters. Context does matter, both for the right and the left. The left doesn't want it to matter because that way everything is set in stone in regards to their ideology, okay? Now, yours, of course, different, of course. But theirs, no. But context doesn't matter anywhere. You know, this is always wrong in their mind. Their ideology, context doesn't exist. This is racism, doesn't matter the context. This is Islamophobia, no matter the context. This is homophobia, no matter the context. And that way they can vilify any and everyone who doesn't agree with them, regardless of the context of the situation or the reality or the truth of what's actually going on. You can't argue with people like that using logic and reason only. And you're going to have very limited success. But I wouldn't go as far as to say you will have no success. You just have no success as an individual. Now, so that is what I'm saying in regards to the second way to fight, to convert these people, is to use more emotionalism, to use more subjectivism, use more actually moral arguments. So, for example, instead of approaching the left in regards to redistributing wealth and trying to argue the pros and cons and how it doesn't work and giving them logical, reasonable arguments that they're not going to believe anyway because to them facts are just inconvenient opinions that haven't been proven because proof itself is arbitrary and it's based on white man's illegitimate belief that science and reason is the only way to approach and find answers, and it's just biased, a white person way of thinking, and we should discard that. They can do all that mental gymnastic bullshit to essentially discard your facts, what they would call so-called facts. Of course, they believe their facts are facts too, even though it's just emotion. So you have to approach them with moral arguments. Hey, it's stealing. You're taking my shit. It's stealing. Is stealing right? Is stealing ever right? You have to approach them from a moral viewpoint. You can't approach them with logic and reason for a majority of things. So, number one, if you want to be heard by these people, you need to come together to defeat them. People think, unfortunately, of ideological wars as not the same as physical wars, when in fact they are. You have to be strategic and tactical in your thinking. You cannot be unadaptable in a situation where adaptation is very important. And that's where the left wins because of their moral relativism and their openness to do whatever it takes to win and their belief that it's okay to lie in service to the greater good that is their ideology. And their everything is open to interpretation bullshit. They are highly adaptable. And they change their tactics all the time. And they've adapted their tactics, okay, to defeat us. And they've won. You think that... A lot of you out there thinking we're winning or something. Oh, yeah, lots and lots of conservatives got elected to office and yada, yada, yada. What you fail to understand is that these all are politicians. It doesn't matter very much that it's a Republican or a Democrat. The majority of these people are controlled by the same people. They're all shills of the global elite. So, you can tell yourself all you want that you're winning because Trump won. But look at it now. It's 6 months? 5, 6 months after he got into office, and we're still hearing the same crap. We don't know anything that he's doing. The media is hardly reporting anything about the good works he's doing. They're hardly talking about the present at all. It's all continuing propaganda to brainwash you. Russia, collusion, yada, yada, yada. They're not reporting on much of anything. And in 4 years, it's going to be the same shit. And they're going to use the same tactics, overshadow anything good he's done with suggestions of corruption, and people will eat it up and buy it. Now, he may or may not win in 4 years. I believe he will. But the truth of the matter is, how much is really changing? The president only has so much power. And yes, Obama wielded a lot of power, but that's because everybody did what he wanted. Everybody did what he wanted. The Republicans, the Democrats, they all did what he wanted because they were afraid of being called racist. That was it. This guy was a tyrant. He was a dictator. People are too blind to see it. And this guy got away with murder for 8 years. And he totally transformed the country into a socialist hellhole that it was already becoming anyway because of socialist Marxist indoctrination from the media and from the universities. So you think we've won some kind of war? We haven't. The war is just starting. You people don't get it. The left has become fully ensconced, fully enthroned. They are fully in power of everything. And while they're not the majority, they hold all the positions that control everything. So if you want to kick them out, it's going to be a war. It's going to be a war of words. It's going to be an ideology. And it might be a war on the streets between civilians, as it already has been. Don't you people watch the news? Haven't you seen these clashes with leftists and rightists wearing body armor and bicycle helmets and wielding weapons going at each other in the street, and the cops not doing anything? You think that's going to get better? As the leftists lose more and more power, looking at how they are essentially perfectly okay with using violence, you really think it's going to get better instead of worse? And then do you honestly think that you're sitting back and as individuals with your very quiet voices, because a lone voice is very, very quiet. Yeah, people might struggle to hear a lone voice in a crowded room. Yeah, spare me that philosophical bullshit. In reality, leftists hear other collectives. They don't listen to individuals very much. You want to get through to them on any logical, reasonable level, you need to be a group. And the majority of what you say is actually going to have to be moral arguments, emotional arguments, arguing the right and wrong, not the logic and reason. If you don't change your tactics, you will lose. If you don't adapt to the winning tactics of the enemy, because you people out there don't seem to realize the left has won. We're fighting a losing battle right now. We need to change our tactics. We need to change how we're fighting. You might say, oh, well, less women are identifying themselves as feminists than ever. So what? That just means they're telling you they're not feminists when they really are. And there's more leftists out there than ever. You don't have to be a feminist to be a leftist. These people are everywhere. They control everything in society that controls and manipulates and influences society. The government, the media, Hollywood, the government. I mean, the government is largely controlled by leftists, and they're doing everything they can to get in Trump's way. And the media is doing everything it can to obfuscate any good that he might be doing and make you think he's some kind of criminal. When in reality, the real criminals are the one that they want to get in office. So we haven't won anything. We won a small battle, but we lost the war. And you people need to accept that, and you need to change your tactics. Oh, we got more than 1,000 conservatives into office, and no. You switched from Democrats to Republicans. It wasn't a big change. They're all owned by the same people. How much is really changing out there? And how much is changing in the culture, which is most important? Huh? Very little, if anything. In fact, the left is ramping up efforts, and things are getting worse. They're doubling down. And they're winning because you people out there won't change your tactics. You need to change your tactics if you want to beat this enemy, because the tactics we're currently using, the ones we've been using for the past 50 years, are not working. They are not. And if you think they are, you are fooling yourselves. So, we need to be more open-minded. And we need to come together more. Yeah, I know getting men to do anything together is like trying to herd cats. But we're going to have to do it. Going to have to do it. We need to come together. We need to approach these leftists from a strong position of strength, not weakness, because it's easy to divide and conquer people or to just totally ignore them when you're a collective and you just got one individual, another individual. They don't listen or pay attention to individuals. They're Borg. And we need to argue with them on moral and emotional grounds more often than we do, because they, generally speaking, ignore logic and reason. But they listen to emotion. That's how they think. They make all their decisions based on their feelings, not on facts, which are open to interpretation, but on feelings. We're not going to win the way we're doing things now. Have to change our tactics. You guys need to realize that. I am the MGTOW philosopher, and I wish you a good day. Take care.